churches that are thriving are doing things, again, so big and so grand that they know they can't possibly succeed without God. That's the line of just kind of existing and living.
Welcome to the Thrive Podcast. I'm Dave Jones, and this is Jim Book. The purpose of our podcast is to offer practical ministry insight and leadership wisdom to help churches thrive in living out their mission in the world in which we live. I've served for 2 decades as the senior minister at the Millwood Church of Christ. Jim is in his 3rd decade of ministry and currently serves as the associate director of the Christian Restoration Association. So Jim, tell us what you do in that role.
Well, first of all, great to be with you, David. And I think this is going to be an exciting trail that we're going to blaze for a lot of churches and preachers as they begin to cast visions for their future. Thankfully, you were on the board, and I was serving with you when you and John and the board asked me to serve in this capacity. It's kind of a associate director's role in church development, vision casting, some leadership development with churches. And so absolutely love it. And I think some great things are happening in our churches and our brotherhood. I think the restoration movement is going to experience a real revival and coming up. And so just glad to be a part of it.
Oh, that's great.
And I think this is going to be a great tool for a lot of preachers.
Yeah. So what would you say the purpose of this? Why are we even going down this road with the podcast?
What I see us trying to accomplish and what our goal, I think, is to help, first of all, preachers, evangelists, see themselves in a greater visionary capacity, and then elders as well. And help position churches to be spiritually successful, to think bigger, to pray bigger, to make some epic challenges, to develop some epic dreams, and with all that come epic victories.
That's great. In your role with the CRA, you're traveling pretty much nonstop. And so you're interacting with a variety of churches.
Yes.
And one of the things we want to tap into are key things you're observing in churches throughout America that are really thriving.
Yeah.
First of all, what's the distinction between a church that's growing and a church that's thriving, would you say?
I think it all boils down to this. If I could boil down to one thing, it's churches that are existing and just kind of limping along, but okay, aren't doing anything that's so big that God has to be intricately involved in it for it to succeed. I think the line of demarcation is churches that are thriving are doing things, again, so big and so grand that they know they can't possibly succeed without God. That's the line of just kind of existing and living.
Yeah. So there are times maybe when a church is growing, maybe they've built a new facility. Yeah. Maybe they are in a community that's just a growing suburb.
Sure.
So you can have growth.
Right.
And just see new energy, new life come into a congregation. But then you could also be in a church that's well-established that necessarily isn't in a situation where people are coming week by week to visit.
Right.
But they're still thriving.
Correct. So I think, Dave, you and I were in very similar situations. We both were in thriving churches. We were going to thrive a little more because we were a downtown church right in South Orlando. So by the simple fact that there are millions of people moving into our community every single year, we're going to grow by attrition. And you are more of a rural area, but yet you are when I look at Millwood, I see planned growth, intentional growth. There's vision casting. I think it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in an urban area, farm area, big city, small town, churches are growing, the ones that I'm working with in our movement, because of vision. Vision is what's driving growth in churches, regardless of your location.
That's great. So vision is the key to thriving as a church?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll just give you, for instance, I was in Southern Illinois, church, New Hope Christian, a dear friend of ours, Bill Cox. Bill's in his early 60s. He's kind of segueing out. They just got the largest loan from the CRA to build a children's wing. So you have kind of a minister towards the twilight of his career. He's trying to segue out. This church is growing, multiple services in a rural small town in Southern Illinois, but they got vision. They got vision and passion and love and then commitment to the doctrine. But again, they're not afraid to dream big.
Yeah, that's great. So the key denominator, you say, for thriving is this idea of vision. How would you define what that is? I mean, does somebody have to be this key visionary and look to the world 20 years from now, or what do you mean when you say that?
Some of the best examples are men in the Bible. Okay, so I'm just going to use Benaniah for example. He's my hero. 2 Samuel 23, he decided to hunt for a lion in a pit on a snowy day. Snow meant the circumstances were not good or favorable. Hunting a lion means he was going after the prize. He wasn't hunting for possum or raccoon. He's going after the lion. And he was going to go in a pit to get him. That guy epitomizes what I think is a healthy, visionary church leader. Taking risk, but not risk based on blind hope or blind faith, but credible faith that is brought about by a credible God who will do immeasurably more than we can imagine. And I live with that. I think we are limited by our vision, not our resources. People say, well, our church can't do this because we have small classrooms, or we're in a small town and the economy's not good. Well, the fact of the matter is, no, your church isn't growing because you don't have vision. Your resources should not dictate that. Benaniah went hunting for a lion on a snowy day in a pit. How bad could that get? Horrible. But that's how you win the big game.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So in your role at the CRA, you travel around and you help churches determine what that next step is for them, what that vision would look like.
And that's what I love. Tomorrow I'm going to be at a church not far from our headquarters here at CRA. They're getting ready to do some big things. They're getting ready to just blow it out for the church in January. But the preacher said, can you come and just kind of excite the audience about the future? Jeanette and I are going next week to a church that you and I both have worked with. We love Sam Dunn, Meadowview Church of Christ. Seems like every time we go to the church, they've expanded. But they're getting ready to do some crazy big things. And we're going to meet with their leadership, do a 5-hour seminar. And this is what excites me, because Meadowview's in a small town. The church in Hillsboro, small town, but big vision. Because we serve a big God, and there's a big need, right?
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Thrive Podcast, practical ministry insight and leadership wisdom to help churches thrive in living out their mission.